Hello there. I am Sir Yetimet, and I welcome you to the Adventures in Dundras. This is the first of hopefully many videos that will include you in our incredible homebrew game of Dungeons & Dragons. But before we begin, I must tell you that this story is one that is already in progress. Aside from writing some notes, we never recorded any of our sessions, and so unfortunately, we will be unable to share that time with you. For you see, we started our game about 5 months ago without any plans for sharing our game with anyone besides friends and family. However, they encouraged us to share our game and our story with the world. Therefore, we will start live streaming our sessions so that others, like yourself, may enjoy our story. Of course, if you begin with our first official recording, you may struggle to follow the story. Therefore, I compiled a summary to bring you up to date on the happenings of Season 1. Thank you for joining us on the Adventures of Dundras. To begin with, I believe introductions are in order. I am the humble narrator and co-game master of the story. I am joined by my best friend Stormlover, the creator of the world of Dundras. Together, we strive to run a fair and entertaining game so that our players may have the best experience possible. Now for the stars of our story, the players. First, we have Remy, playing Dain Blacksfire, the strong and kind mountain dwarf paladin. Next, we have Aaron, playing Milo Highhill, the elusive Lightfoot halfling rogue of many aliases. Then, we have Shax, playing Talos Maximus, the fierce and noble bronze-scaled dragonborn paladin. Last, but not least, Ryan is playing Dallen, the gunslinging sorcerer brass-scaled dragonborn. Now then, our story begins with our unlikely band of heroes finding their way to the land of Dundras. Dain and Milo first met in a guild in Sturma in search of work. They were tasked with exploring some ancient ruins to bring back information and whatever else they could find. After traveling for several days, they spotted the ruins and approached. There, they discovered a door bearing Elvish runes. Neither read Elvish, but Milo had some experience with runes. He investigated the door and, using his keen senses, discovered a trap and disarmed it. Once it was safe, the two made their way inside where a score of old remains, bones and debris from long ago greeted them. Investigating further, they entered a storeroom containing many barrels. Dain took interest in one of the barrels and discovered it was filled with ancient ale. Having explored the entrance, the two made their way deeper into the ruins. After several long minutes of walking, they entered a cavernous room with a large barricaded door. Before they could investigate further, 8 red kobolds jumped from the shadows and attacked. A fierce fight ensued, but Dain and Milo emerged victorious. After taking a breather to recover, the two investigated the room and discovered some magic items: a shield, a dagger, and a bow. Unable to identify them, they snatched them to take back to the guild. As they stowed their loot, though, a roar echoed from deep within the ruins. Not wishing to mess with whatever made that noise, but determined to deliver a full report to the guild, they carried on. As they stealthily slipped through the door, a massive minotaur attacked them. They were both knocked unconscious before they could defend themselves. After some time, Dain and Milo awoke within a small camp beside an expansive lake. When they attempted to recall how they arrived there, pairing up to investigate the ruins was the last thing each remembered. Discovering they possessed some magic items they did not previously, they attempted to figure out where they were. However, the landscape was completely unrecognizable to them both. As they pondered the situation and plotted their next move, they noticed the sky darken. They looked up to see a massive meteor plummeting towards the ground. They watched in horror as it landed a fair distance away, and what they saw was a town. Meanwhile, Dallen bid farewell to his best friend and his mother. His mother gifted him her flintlock pistol, made by her own hand, hoping it would protect him on his journey. Dallen did not wish to leave, but his guilt was overwhelming. He needed to follow through with this self-inflicted exile to redeem himself and earn his name. As he boarded the ship that would take him to one of the mainlands, Dallen looked back at his homeland, his beloved island of Bamin, unsure when he would see it again. The ship then began its 7-month-long voyage to Sturma, during which the sailors graciously taught Dallen the common language. At the end of this long voyage, Dallen found himself on the shores of Sturma. At the suggestion of the sailors, Dallen sought out a local adventurers guild, hoping it would give him the opportunity he needed to prove himself. Finding his way to the guild, he discovered that joining the exploration of ancient ruins was the only remaining job. Eager to prove himself, he gathered the necessary information from the guild and hurried on his way. After several days' travel, he came upon the ruins he sought and on an already open door. Assuming the other adventurers must have already made it in, he hurried inside to find them. But he only made it a short distance before the lurking Minotaur's fist plunged him into darkness. After some time, he awoke in a forest, his last memory being his quest to find a guild. As he looked around to get his bearings, he realized he did not recognize the area. While plotting his next move, he noticed the sky grow dark as the meteorite hurtled downward. He watched as it disappeared through the trees before it crashed somewhere to the northwest. Thinking that the meteorite could lead to adventure, Dallen hurried toward the impact. Talos, a member of the Platinum Order of Bahamut, stood with his commander as the scout returned with his report. His heart sank and his blood began to boil as he listened. Followers of Baphomet were attempting to create a new avatar to finish what their order had started years ago and what Talos' father had stopped. The commander turned to Talos, ordering him to prepare himself and his fellow paladins to move out and engage the cultists once the next scout returned with their location. Understanding what they were about to face, Talos relayed the order to his friends before heading for the training grounds. With his blood still boiling, he knew that he needed to calm down before they moved out, and training always helped him focus. Once he finished his training session, he saw the others were finishing their preparations to move out. He then quickly moved to his cabin and began packing his gear. Just as he finished packing, he heard a noise that made him look out the window. As he did, a bright flash of light blinded him, knocking him unconscious. When he came to, he found himself on the floor of a forest. He got up and looked around for his order or his allies, but found no sign of either. As he stood trying to figure out what had happened to him, the sky suddenly darkened and Talos heard a deafening roar and as a meteor fell from the sky. He watched as it disappeared behind a few trees before crashing violently to the ground. Concerned where it may have landed, he instinctively rushed over to investigate. And so our heroes, chosen by fate, rushed towards their destiny. Where it would lead them? Find out on the Adventures in Dundras.